Well, good afternoon, and please excuse me for being late. I just haven't been feeling up to my normal self. It will come back, I promise. Look at that. Tropicana's back. What up, girl? There's just me, the Oakley cat. My goodness. Well, a few of you have messaged me about this case with Jessica Barnes. She's actually, she's been found. Okay? She's been found. But it took a month to report her missing, which should only be aimed at her husband. Her mama is the one that declared her missing. It is horrible. Before I get to it, let's tell each other hello. I am so glad you guys came back, and you will not believe this. This fool right here, and he thinks he's the big swinging baloney around his area. This happened in Pendleton, South Carolina. Now, forgive the tat and the Bengals t-shirt. He really tried to look like the sympathetic husband. Oh, he did. Ridiculous. Now, this is supposed to be her husband, which they are married. Look at this beautiful woman. Now, look at the other suspects. Look at that ratchet piece of shit. Kendall Mims. They were living, all of them, we'll get to that, in her grandpa's pool house. There's the other one. With friends like them, who needs enemies? The sleeping arrangements are more confusing than the Idaho 4 house. I'm telling you. They truly are. Every one of them, I'm not talking about Jessica. I will not do any victim blaming around here. All of them should have had a damn job. But there's a lot of questions going around, like, should bigamy charges be added? It appears to me that there is more to this than what you call a throuple. Okay, but again, we're not going to talk about Jessica because Jessica did not deserve this. All right, there's the fool right there. Court records revealed Brandon Barnes was married to the woman he admitted strangling and one of his confessed accomplices, Kendall Mims. She saw everything. Now, Kendall and Victoria, my understanding from what I've been reading, is they saw everything. They kept everything quiet and helped move her body.
Jessica Barnes' murder. Could bigamy charges be added? By Jen Wood. In a brief hearing on Wednesday afternoon, October 2, 2024, bond was denied for all three suspects arrested in connection with the brutal murder of 20-year-old Jessica Barnes in South Carolina. Jessica's husband, 21-year-old Brandon Barnes of Pendleton, South Carolina, was charged with murder, while Victoria Tippett and Kendall Mims, both 20 years old, have been charged with accessory after the fact, obstruction of justice and misprision of a felony. Additional charges could be forthcoming. According to a probable cause affidavit accompanying the warrant for Barnes' arrest, he is accused of using his arms to strangle his wife to death at a pool house in Pendleton on August 2, 2024, the day after she was last seen alive. Tippett and Mims were living with Jessica in the pool house, which is owned by Mims' grandfather. According to police, Barnes subsequently joined Tippett and Mims in disposing of Jessica's remains in the Twin Lakes region of Pickens County. https://u2.be/k-3q5sbiz08. FITS tube. Jessica was reported missing by her mother on September 10, 2024, after not hearing from her in over a month.
All right, some people are giving her mama hell, saying, you haven't heard from your daughter in a month? Sometimes that's common in families because, well, she's a married adult. But she'd had enough. She didn't know that Jessica hasn't been seen since August. Lie after lie after lie.
An investigation into her disappearance was initiated by the Pendleton Police Department. According to a press release issued by Pendleton Police Chief Robert Crosby, details regarding her disappearance were vague, which led the small department to request the assistance of the SC State Law Enforcement Division, SLED, on September 16, 2024. The pool house where Jessica was allegedly killed was subsequently searched by police on September 20, 2024, in connection with Jessica's disappearance. Jessica's remains were reportedly discovered in a wooded area near the Twin Lakes boat ramp, just 4 miles west-southwest of the home where Barnes allegedly murdered her. There has been much speculation about the relationships between Barnes and the 3 women who lived with him in the same small pool house where Jessica was murdered. Mims, who has an infant daughter with Barnes, has been described as a roommate.
All right, so he has a baby with Kendall Mims, okay? Now, on Facebook, she calls herself Kendall Barnes. She lied to so many people, okay? This is what she said. She said Jessica, she's talking about Jessica. She left him. They separated. Absolutely nothing happened to her. This is just crazy harassments and accusations. And our home was destroyed. Our carpet, ceiling, shower, left glass behind my baby's crib, destroyed our cars. We're going to be wanting the officers' names and badges. Ha! 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 It doesn't work that way. No. They can destroy all your shit when they're looking for evidence. Here's just a little bit of Google lawyering. Law enforcement may have to pull up carpet to uncover evidence at a crime scene. A thorough investigation is important to ensure that physical evidence isn't destroyed or tainted and that potential witnesses aren't overlooked. I believe that the issue was between Kendall, that had the baby, with this POS. I believe that's the reason Jessica was murdered. That's just what I'm seeing right now.
According to records from the Anderson County Press, the assistance of the SC State Law Enforcement Division, SLED, on September 16, 2024. The pool house where Jessica was allegedly killed was subsequently searched by police on September 20, 2024, in connection with Jessica's disappearance. Jessica's remains were reportedly discovered in a wooded area near the Twin Lakes boat ramp, just 4 miles west-southwest of the home where Barnes allegedly murdered her. There has been much speculation about the relationships between Barnes and the 3 women who lived with him in the same small pool house where Jessica was murdered. Mims, who has an infant daughter with Barnes, has been described as a roommate, but according to records from the Anderson County Probate Court, the two obtained a marriage license on July 31, 2023. Jessica's mom, Cecilia Vergara, said when Barnes and Jessica met online, he told her Mims, who was pregnant at the time, was his sister. This was the same tale he told another former girlfriend who met him at work, only he told her Jessica was Mims' best friend.
Oh yeah, everyone is everyone's best friend in his world. This is ridiculous because Kendall Mims was more than with him. They had a baby together. And as this unfolds, she's going, in my opinion, to be charged a little higher than just obstruction of justice and helping conceal a body. Because she wanted this POS to herself, in my humble opinion.
Julia, whose last name we are withholding at this time, told us the two began dating in August of 2023, and she had no clue he was involved with either Mims or with Jessica. He, Barnes, had us all hang out around each other, go on hikes, go to the lake, all that type of stuff, like, all around each other without us even knowing, she said. When Barnes brought ultrasounds of his baby with Mims to work, Julia realized the truth and ended things in November of 2023. She said when the relationship ended, the third woman, Tippett, wasn't in the picture yet. On January 8, 2024, Jessica and Brandon Barnes obtained a marriage license from the same Anderson County Probate Court he had obtained one with Mims just 5 months earlier. Unlike his marriage with Mims, an officiant and wedding date is listed January 28, 2024. According to Vergara, her daughter was unaware of his marriage license with Mims. Chief Crosby confirmed today that Mims and Barnes were never divorced. When asked if the two would face bigamy charges, he said after consultation with the 10th Circuit Solicitor's Office, at this time they did not plan to pursue such a charge due to the weight of the other charges the two are facing. In addition to receiving assistance from
Okay, let's talk about that. They're like, listen. We only have a few people here at the DA's office. We're not going to go after bigamy or these other things that are easily reduced to a violation or a misdemeanor. And I totally understand when people say, stack it up, stack it up, stack it up. Well, then you have one prosecuting attorney that files and writes and they spend all this money. And then next thing you know, they're like, dismissed, don't care about that. Because the big M holds greater weight. We know he's a nasty bastard. But there's no nasty bastard law.
Pendleton police were also aided by a forensic anthropologist from Clemson University, who helped identify Jessica's remains as human. On Tuesday, October 1, 2024, a forensic odontologist, or a scientist who studies teeth, identified the remains found at the wooded area near the boat ramp as belonging to Jessica. Barnes, Tippett, and Mims are being held at the Anderson County Detention Center. Their initial hearings have been scheduled for December 3, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at the Anderson County Courthouse.
And in the meantime, there's no bond. None. Even for the ones that say, I didn't see nothing. But they did. Because when her mom couldn't get a hold of her for a good month, August into September, she called the police. And I know people are giving a lot of hell to the mama right now. But the problem is she has nothing to do with it. We cannot go after people because they don't have a great relationship with their adult children. But they did find Jessica's body. And 3 people are in jail. More could possibly be in jail soon.
Right now, a Pendleton man is facing charges in connection with the death of his wife, who had been missing since August. The Anderson County coroner says Jessica Barnes' remains were found Friday by Pendleton police and sled in a wooded area in Pickens County. The coroner.
She looks like a little girl to me. She looks like a little girl to me. Now, her parents can't rewind to when she was 8 and say we should do better. And I do see some online hate calling her an idiot, you know, the usual stuff. Listen, she's the one whose remains were found. So, you know, come on. The ones that did it, allegedly, are this fool. And I want to know who paid for those tattoos. His baby mama, that's uglier than a homemade bar of damn soap. And this one, that looks like a homemade mud fence.
In Pickens County. The coroner's office says after its investigation, it was revealed Barnes had been killed in Pendleton. Pendleton police say her husband, Brandon Barnes, strangled her and has been charged with her murder. The couple's 2 roommates, Kendall Mims and Victoria Tippett, are charged with accessory after the fact.
Accessory after the fact. Accessory after the fact. Well, let's get into some more of the background because I'm all in on this one. All right? And Jessica's under the assumption that Mr. Bad Boy here is just all into her. He's telling people that she, even though they're married, is this chick's sister. Okay? But they have a baby together. Now remember, this chick is the one knowing that she witnessed the Big M and helped move Jessica's body. She had the right to complain to Facebook. And I love when people protest to Facebook. I love it. It just makes all the sense in the world to me. Because nobody gives a shit. I mean, not one person, unless you're tagging everybody from your kid's school. There she is. She calls herself Kendall Barnes. She left him. They separated. Absolutely nothing happened to her. This is just crazy harassments and accusations. And our home was destroyed. Our carpet, ceiling, shower, left glass besides my baby's cribs, destroyed our cars. We're going to be wanting the officers' names and badges. Call Home Depot, whore. Call Home Depot.
Full of life. She believed in Jesus and God, and she loved God with all her heart. And now she's with Jesus.
The search for a 20-year-old woman missing from her South Carolina home since August ends sadly with her remains being found. Now Jessica Barnes' husband is accused of murdering her, and their roommates also face charges. A reporter covering the case on the ground is here with the very latest. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Jessica Barnes's family is in mourning. The 20-year-old was missing and her mother had hoped that she would be found alive. Barnes had been missing since August 1st, but it wasn't until September 10th.
We have a question. Sarah said, what do the accomplice's parents say? What does this asshat's parents say? Nothing. Nothing so far. And they're not going to. Kendall's grandpa, it was his pool house they were all shacking up in. It does make me wonder because Kendall is, hold on, I don't want to say something wrong. She's 20 years old. So her grandpa could seriously be just like 55, 60 years old. How did he not hear at the pool house, which to me looks like a damn shed, that there was some sort of ruckus going on? Why did he not have an issue with Brandon, 3 chicks, and a baby living out there? I personally would not be comfortable with that.
That her mother reported her missing. Barnes lived in Pendleton, South Carolina with her husband, Brandon Barnes, and 2 female roommates. Pendleton is south of Clemson. Police said Jessica was last seen at her home by her husband, Brandon, and those 2 roommates on August 1st. And Jessica's mom has said she didn't report her missing until October 10th because she didn't know she was missing. It apparently wasn't unusual that they...
She means September 10th. We haven't gotten to October 10th yet. So, the chick from Law and Crime has got her facts messed up because we don't have any Back to the Future machine around here, okay? September 10th is when she called Pendleton and reported her daughter missing.
They wouldn't have contact for a time. And Jen Wood from Fitz News is going to be here soon to give us more information about that and why that was. But when Jessica's mom didn't hear from her on her birthday, she became concerned. You might be wondering, why didn't Jessica's husband or roommates report her missing? Jessica's husband told Blunt Force Media in an interview that he thought she left and would come back. It almost sounded like he was suggesting she might have harmed herself. The site quoted Brandon.
Going through the articles and the things that he posted, that's how I took it too. That he was trying to suggest that she did something to herself in one way or another. Or, as was stated, they got into a fight and she just left. And she's done it before. So who would question that? You know, couples get into fights, but a month-long fight with nobody hearing from someone is a problem. People have contact with people more than we like to admit.
Is saying, I would tell her how much I love her and wish I never went to work every day and ignored her. I ignored her voice, told her she was fine when I knew she wasn't. I was young and stupid. I was always focused on getting more money and more work. The site said Brandon added, we never felt like we had hope in life. Always felt down, depressed, miserable, alone, seeking for help, hiding from help, never accepting it when it came. Childhood trauma, being abused as a kid, blaming people for things we regret or done. Blunt Force Media also posted a letter that Brandon Barnes said Jessica wrote to him on July 4th that he said he found in a Bible. The letter said, we have been through so much in the first year of our life together.
This is a lie. This is something he made up to give to this Blunt Force Media, who, by the way, could be anyone with a computer. It doesn't mean they're the New York Times. I do not blame them at all for sharing it, but I mean, come on, man. You really think they were that eloquent?
together, and I am so grateful that I met you. I love you so much, baby. Thank you for sticking by my side and letting me in. It's hard to love me, but we had a son and got married. Best choice I ever made, by the way. We even went through a stillbirth and
Hang on, I'll go back through that. I do not know how to pronounce your name. Forgive me. Cionaod. How did they transport Jessica's body 25 miles away? Whose vehicle was used? All I know from the grapevine was Grandpa's truck was used. And they all piled in the front. I'm sure they have a lot more digging to go through.
Barnes said Jessica wrote to him on July 4th that he said he found in a Bible. The letter said, "We have been through so much in the first year of our life together, and I am so grateful that I met you. I love you so much, baby. Thank you for sticking by my side and letting me in. It's hard to love me, but we had a son and got married. Best choice I ever made, by the way. We even went through a stillbirth and came out the other side stronger and more motivated, knowing we can stick together through anything. God put you in my life for a reason, and I will never let you go. I plan on writing these letters, 10 of them, for the first 10 years of our beautiful life together. I could never picture starting a life with anyone else. You are my rock, and I love you so much. I am so blessed to be your wife. A year ago today, I asked you to be mine, and I am so happy you love me through all of my imperfections and flaws. You call me beautiful when you know I feel low and hold me tight in my sleep. You are the best thing that ever happened to me, and I won't let you slip away." Later in the letter, it says,
His ass wrote that. His ass wrote that after the fact, when the heat was coming on. Oh, I just found this in the Bible. Oh, shut up. Just shut up. You didn't find that in the Bible. Y'all don't crack a Bible. You don't go to Sunday school.
that Brandon was supposed to read it in 10 years on his 31st birthday. Now police say Brandon Barnes has confessed to murdering Jessica. The police chief said they found Jessica's remains at the Twin Lakes recreational area.
Pendleton officers and agents from SLED, as well as assistants from the Clemson University Police Department and Pickens County Sheriff's Office, were able to locate a potential site in the Twin Lakes area of Pickens County along Lake Hartwell. During this search, remains were found and later identified as human. SLED agents were able to collect forensic samples, and the SLED laboratory continues to process these samples at this time. The Pickens County coroner was called to assist and provide recovery, assistance, and autopsy services in conjunction with the Anderson County Coroner's Office. Also, a forensic anthropologist from Clemson University helped identify the remains as human. On October 1st, Pendleton officers and the Pickens County coroner were notified by a forensic odontologist that the remains were identified as Jessica Barnes. A forensic odontologist is someone that studies bones, specifically teeth, jaw structure, things like that.
An affidavit said,
Okay, let me put the Dollar Tree readers back on. August 2nd, 2024, in the town of Pendleton at 102 Laurel Drive, Brandon Barnes, with malice, caused the death of victim Jessica Barnes by using his arms to strangle her to death. The defendant did admit to the murder after being advised of Miranda. Isn't it funny how when you present people with a dead body or evidence, they start singing like a damn canary?
as defendant Brandon Richard Barnes did with malice aforethought, caused the death of victim Jessica Barnes by using his arms to strangle her to death. The defendant admits to the murder after being advised of Miranda. One of the roommates, Victoria Tippett, is charged as an accessory after the fact. An affidavit says Tippett obstructed justice in that she did fail to report the murder of victim Jessica Barnes to law enforcement. The defendant did admit to disposing of the victim's body to obstruct justice of murder by defendant Barnes. And finally,
there's a few people out there that feel bad for Victoria. I'm not saying you have to, but they said, listen, she was just throwing in some Funyuns every week and buying some Gatorade and stuff, but she got bullied into helping dispose of Jessica's body. My thing is, at 20 years old, she knew better. They're all on their damn phones all day. They're doing the Snapchat. They're doing all that stuff. You see someone in front of you, and the life is sucked out of them. You don't just say, you want me to help you get rid of it? No, I don't care what kind of upbringing you've had. No one does that. No one. Hell, there's 12-year-olds that have solved crimes. There's 5-year-olds who have told the truth. You report it and go sleep under a bridge. I don't know. But you don't sit there and watch shit like that and not say a word. I do believe Kendall here was the match that lit the firecracker, because she has a baby with Brandon. Brandon wanted this whole brothel of women. He's almost like a David Koresh, only not very smart.
Finally, Kendall Mims faces a charge of accessory after the fact to murder. She is accused of helping to move Barnes's body and not telling law enforcement about the murder, despite having opportunities to do so. The murder of Jessica Barnes is tragic. Someone she loved and trusted is accused of taking her life. And cases like hers show you how important it is to stay safe and to check out the people in your life. Truthfinder.com is a site that can help you with that.
Full of life. She believed in Jesus and God, and she loved God with all of her heart. And now she's with Jesus. And we're all sad, but we know that she's better over there than in here. She's not with her abuser anymore, and she's in heaven with Jesus. And I thank God and everybody who helped her find it. And I want to thank everybody who prays for us and for the family and for the siblings. And I'm gonna continue to be a voice for Jessica and to spread like awareness for her and for the horrible thing that happened to her.
I do feel bad for her mother. And unfortunately, Jessica is one of many women that felt safe at home, and she's not. Take a second and look at other women that were killed by their significant other. It is horrible. Horrible.
Jen Wood is a researcher at Fitz News, and she's been covering this case from the beginning. Jen, first of all, take me inside the courtroom yesterday. What was it like when these three people appeared in court?
You know, it was really, it was sad. They're so young. They didn't show a lot of emotion. And, you know, it was really interesting seeing the three of them, you know, brought in just to find out if they were going to get bond. I mean, we had a good clue that Brandon Barnes wouldn't be getting bond just based on the charge. But the other two, Victoria Tippett and Kendall Mims, we weren't entirely certain if they would be given a bond. They didn't show any emotion, though. It was interesting.
It's kind of stunning to me that these two young women, and we don't know what happened other than the police are saying in the affidavit that Brandon Barnes, after he was read his rights, confessed to strangling Jessica with his arms. I mean, it sounds horrific. Strangling is a horrific, any way to die is horrific, but this is just awful. And then, you know, the young women are accused of covering this up sort of and helping him dispose of her body. I just can't even imagine them doing this and why they would do this. So you're talking to me about them showing no emotion. Do we know anything about the relationship between Mims and Tibbetts and Barnes? I mean, were they closer to him, or what do we know about that?
You know, the three of them were all living together, and it's a dynamic that I've never heard of before. But Kendall Mims and Brandon had a.
Sure you have. It's called Sodom and freaking Gomorrah. You got Grandpa letting them live in the pool house. Nobody questioned everybody piling up in this little shed, basically. You'd be like, okay, hang on. You know, Kendall, you're my granddaughter. You have a baby with old boy. Here he is. So listen, I will put you and the baby up till you get on your feet. But who are all these other people? What are they all doing? I mean, the pool house is about as big as a spare bedroom. It's in South Carolina, Susan. Oh, they know what's going on.
I mean, were they closer to him, or what do we know about that?
You know, the three of them were all living together, and it's a dynamic that I've never heard of before. But Kendall Mims and Brandon had a infant daughter together, and according to her mother, the daughter, Jessica primarily took care of the daughter when she was alive. Even though she was married to Brandon. It's a very bizarre dynamic, but they were all living together in this little pool house. And sounds like they were all dating Brandon. It's very bizarre, but Jessica's mom said that he was very controlling of Jessica. He would cut off her contact from her family. Her sisters weren't able to get a hold of her. And I spoke to Brandon's ex-girlfriend, who has 2 children with him, and they split up after he assaulted her in Maine, and she got a restraining order. And he said, she told me that he had done the same thing to her, like cut off her communication with family, moved her to another state, just very controlling behavior.
Yeah, it's very concerning. And from what I've read, you know, she said that he was abusive. So it's very, whatever was going on in that house is very concerning, to say the least. You know, it's concerning to me as well that she disappears on August 1st, August 2nd, from what the police say. She's not reported till September 10th. Mom says, look, I wouldn't be in touch with her sometimes. And it sounds like part of the reason is because she was cut off from family. So mom reports her missing. A massive search is launched. And now we have this really horribly sad outcome that they said that Jessica was murdered. So talk to me about what it was like down there in South Carolina to be involved in this case, because, sitting from where I am watching it, people were really concerned, and they were hoping she would be found alive. And it was getting a lot of attention down there.
Yeah. So, I mean, her mother said that, it wouldn't be uncommon for her to not hear from Jessica for some time, but the end of August was her birthday, and she would typically hear from her around her birthday, and she didn't. And that's when she started really getting concerned. And
Does anyone know how many kids Brandon really has? We know he has an infant daughter with Kendall, and he strangled in front of Kendall and Victoria in the pool house that he wasn't paying rent on. Does anyone think he was trying to start like his own cult or something? Has he been watching all the P. Diddy news? I don't know. Is he an R. Kelly fan? Listen, dudes like that can't swing it. So how many children are there actually? All I can really verify is the child he has with Kendall.
by September 10th, she decided to report her as missing. She said she had received text from Jessica's phone, but didn't feel like they were actually Jessica texting. And when they started searching for her, the stories that Barnes and Kendall and Victoria were giving police were varied. They would tell police one thing, they would tell the neighbor, I think they told police that Jessica would occasionally.
Okay, I'm going to pause that for a second. Mermaid has a question. Why did he red rum Jessica? I believe it had to do with an internal struggle with Kendall. That's what I believe. Kendall wanted to be the head honcho, so to speak, because she has a baby with him. She didn't like him going and getting married to Jessica, and he would tell people that Jessica was Kendall's sister. Cianad said, Brandon Barnes has 2 children from a previous relationship with Catherine Gom, his ex-girlfriend. Well, looks like I got to reach out to her. Wow, 3 kids. I'll tell you what.
Alive, and it was getting a lot of attention down there.
Yeah. So, I mean, her mother said that, it wouldn't be uncommon for her to not hear from Jessica for some time, but the end of August was her birthday, and she would typically hear from her around her birthday, and she didn't. And that's when she started really getting concerned. And by September 10th, she decided to report her as missing. She said she had received text from Jessica's phone, but didn't feel like they were actually Jessica texting. And when they started searching for her, the stories that Barnes and Kendall and Victoria were giving police were varied. They would tell police one thing, they would tell the neighbor, I think they told police that Jessica would occasionally leave and she was probably in Michigan with family, and they told the neighbor that she had gone to Romania to stay with her father, but she didn't have a valid passport. So it was just the stories weren't adding up, which was adding to the concern in the community.
They talked about, the police chief at the press conference, that they found remains of Jessica's in, this Twin Lakes recreational area in Pickens County. Do you know anything about this area? And I'm kind of gathering potentially that they were led to this area maybe based on cell phone records. I don't know. Maybe they got a tip. What are you hearing?
So I'm hearing that GPS data is what led them to that specific area. I'm not entirely sure, if it was from phones or, another device, but that's, I believe, how they located that specific area. It is, up there are a lot of lakes. And I think there are a lot of areas where, kids go to hang out. And this was one of them, very remote. I think when they did the search on September 20th, they searched the pool house where they were living in, and Kendall.
They did. They did search it. And that's the reason Kendall, who calls herself Kendall Barnes because she's not married to Brandon, posted this. She said she, meaning Jessica, left him. They separated. Absolutely nothing happened to her. This is just crazy harassments and in accusations. And our home was destroyed. Our carpet, ceiling, shower. They left glass behind my baby's crib, destroyed our cars. We're going to be wanting the officers' names and badges. Bitch, you had them when they came there. They have every right to search your home. You got to be kidding me. They're looking for a missing woman.
Out of areas where, kids go to hang out, and this was one of them, very remote. And I think when they did the search on September 20th, they searched the pool house where they were living in and Kendall's grandfather's property and that spot. And I think that's when they found the remains, but they had to do forensic identification.
So they found the remains, you think, on September 20th. So it took some time for them to do that, go through that process.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It did.
How very sad. So, Brandon Barnes is not getting out of jail anytime soon. The police say he confessed to this crime. The other two are not getting out either. Right now, it doesn't appear. So is there any indication that either one of them are cooperating at this point, the two young women?
From what I was told, it does not appear that they are cooperating right now. Whether or not that changes once they have representation, I'm not sure. But, they, for a very long time, were going along with Brandon's stories.
What a terribly sad story. And I think our hearts all go out to Jessica's family. A sad case, and we will certainly.
They're all going along with Brandon's story. So basically, they all have it in their mind that they're going to be out of jail, back in the pool house, living the good life, is what they think. Nufflin, why are there never women who have 3 or 4 men? I need 3 or 4 men. Not for the pogo stick. There's shit around here I need done. I need one to clean the grill, one to mow, one to clean the pool, one to help me take down a tree. Yeah, bring me those bad boys. But I'm not sleeping with them because they fart at night. All right, here's the bond hearing, and you guys are going to love this.
All right, sir, I'm Judge White. Tell me your name.
Brandon Barnes.
Look at him. It's like he thinks he's hard, okay? He thinks he is tough. He thinks he's something else. He's about to get his.
Full name?
Brandon Richard Barnes.
All right. I'll make you aware that we have Troy Stiles, who's representing the family of the victim, Merrill Harbin, victim's advocate with the sheriff's office, as well as the news present. You've got a charge for murder, which does carry up to life in jail or the death penalty if you're found guilty, or if you're found guilty or plead guilty. And your initial appearance date is going to be December 3rd at 9:30 at the Anderson County Courthouse. You are required to appear. If you miss any court dates, they can issue a general sessions warrant. If you're picked up on that, you can be held until a trial. You have the right to have an attorney present going forward. If you can't afford one, you can request the public defender's office represent you. You also have the right to plead not guilty and request a jury trial on your court date. Within the next 10 days, you have the right to request a preliminary hearing. It's a hearing before a judge who would hear the state's evidence to determine if it was sufficient to issue the charge. To request that hearing, it has to be done by you within the next 10 days. You'll be given that form when we're done. Any questions about the preliminary hearing?
When's the court again?
Do what now?
When's the court date?
The court date's going to be and it's just an initial appearance, is December 3rd. That's just your initial roll call date. Okay. And that'll be on your paperwork as well. They'll give you another court date after that to keep up with as far as appearances are concerned. Okay. Mr. Stiles, you have to speak a little bit loud.
Room that she entered. Jessica had ambition, she had dreams, and her soul was a constant witness to others through her faith. We are profoundly thankful for the dedication of all agencies involved in this case, especially the tireless work of Chief Robert Crosby of the Pendleton Police Department, who devoted himself to finding the answers that we have shared today. With heavy hearts, we humbly return Jessica into the hands of Jesus, where we know she is now safe from her abuser. Her spirit is renewed, and she is enveloped in the love she longed for so deeply while she was here with us on this earth. We hope this serves as a message to domestic violence victims everywhere. Please reach out for help. Jessica was strong, but piece by piece, her strength was stripped away. We kindly ask for continued privacy in the coming days as we fully commit ourselves to being Jessica's voice. We will seek justice for her as her own voice has been diminished.
Well, you'll have a chance on your court dates to enter a plea. You are going to be ordered to have no contact with the victim's family in any way. If you violate that, this bond can be revoked, as well as you can face additional charges. Now, the charge of murder is a non-bondable offense by a magistrate judge, so you'll be held here at the detention center, and a circuit court judge will determine whether bond's appropriate at a later date. You have any questions on anything I've gone over?
No, but my ring's been missing since suicide box. It's not in my house.
That's something the detention center will address. All right.
Oh, it's in the suicide box. It's in the suicide box. Get real. You have got to be kidding me. He choked the life out of her. Literally. Who is he to try to ask for sympathy?
If you will step over here, they'll have you sign the paperwork that we've gone over. Thank you.
Well, our new friend who's here, and I still do not know how to pronounce your name, said, I'm most concerned about let me put my glasses on. I'm trying to train my eyes not to use these readers. She said, I'm most concerned now about the 3 children that piece of garbage left behind. All I know is the one that was in the pool house is being raised by the state of South Carolina in foster care. The other 2, from what I've been told today, I'm assuming probably the same, or with the mother or the mother's family.
come right here. Tell me your name.
Victoria Tippett.
All right, Ms. Tippett, I'm Judge White. I'll make you aware that Merrill Harbin with the Anderson County Sheriff's Office, Troy Stiles, the family representative for Ms. Barnes, as in the news, are present. Now, you've got 3 charges.
Yes, sir.
The first is for accessory after the fact of murder, which carries up to 15 years in jail if you plead guilty or if you're found guilty. Misprison of a felony, and obstructing justice. Both of those, the fine's going to be up to the court to determine at what's appropriate if you're found guilty or if you plead guilty. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The initial court date is December 3rd at 9:30, and that's at the Anderson County Courthouse. You are required to appear. If you miss any hearings, they can issue a general sessions warrant. If you're picked up on that, you can be held until a hearing is had. You also have the right to have an attorney present. If you can't afford one, you can request the public defender's office represent you. You also have the right to plead not guilty on your court date and request a jury trial. Within the next 10 days, you have the right to request a preliminary hearing on these charges. That's a hearing before another judge who would hear the state's evidence to determine if it was sufficient to issue these charges. To request that, it has to be done by you, and you'll be given a form to complete when we're done. Do you have any questions about the preliminary hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Stiles, I understand you. On these charges, based on them, I'm going to deny your bond on all 3 charges. You'll be held here at the detention center. A judge with the circuit court will determine whether bond's appropriate at a later date. Do you have any questions?
No.
All right, you can step over there. They're going to have you sign the paperwork of everything we've just gone over. Thank you. All right, I'm Judge White. State your full name.
Kendall Mims.
All right, Ms. Mims. I'll make you aware that Merrill Harbin with the Anderson County Sheriff's Office, Troy Stiles, a representative for Ms. Barnes' family, as well as the news are present. You've got 3 charges. First is for accessory after the fact of murder, which carries up to 15 years in jail if you plead guilty or if you're found guilty. You have misprision of a felony and obstruction of justice. Both of those carry a fine that's going to be determined by the court at a later date at their discretion if you're found guilty or if you plead guilty. Your initial court date's December 3rd at 9:30 at the Anderson County Courthouse. That's for your initial appearance. If you fail to appear there, they can issue a general sessions warrant. If you're picked up on that, you can be held until the trial is had. You also have the right to have an attorney present represent you going forward. If you can't afford one, you can request the public defender's office represent you. You have the right to plead not guilty on your court date and request a jury trial. Within the next 10 days, you have the right to request a preliminary hearing on these charges. It's a hearing before a judge who would hear the state's evidence to determine if it was sufficient to issue the charges. To request it, it has to be done by you, and you'll be given that forward when we're done. Do you have any questions about the preliminary hearing? Okay. Mr. Stiles, I understand you have a statement you want to make on behalf of the family.
We are deeply saddened to share that Jessica is no longer with us. In her 20 years, she lit up every room that she entered. Jessica had ambition. She had dreams, and her soul was a constant witness to others through her faith. We are profoundly thankful for the dedication of all of the agencies involved in this case, especially the tireless work of Chief Robert Crosby of the Pendleton Police Department.
who devoted himself to finding the answers we have shared today. With heavy hearts, we humbly return Jessica into the hands of Jesus, where we know she is now safe from her abuser. Her spirit is renewed, and she is enveloped in the love she so longed for while she was here with us on this earth. We hope this serves as a message to domestic violence victims everywhere. Please reach out for help. Jessica was strong, but piece by piece, her strength was stripped away. We kindly ask for continued privacy in the coming days.
I'm not liking any of this. I'm just not. I understand they're advocating. They really want their loved one, if you want to call him that, to get basically a slap on the wrist. I'm going to say that the only plea bargain that should be granted is to the one that tells the truth. So who is it going to be? Is it going to be Victoria or Kendall? Which one? Which one? He's already confessed to murder. So what are these two dipshits going to get? The truth is, not calling to report a murder in South Carolina is probably going to get them, actually not just South Carolina, a lot of states, going to get them like a good 8 years. These women will walk free someday. I personally think it's going to be Victoria, because she was doing all she could to get in the middle of the throuple, or quadruple throuple. I don't know. There was a lot going on in that pool house.
As we fully commit ourselves to Jessica's voice, we will seek justice for her, as her own voice has now been diminished.
Ms. Mims, this hearing is being recorded and it can be used later against you in court. But do you have any statements you want to make or anything else you need me to know before I discuss your bond? Okay. Based on the charges, your bond will be denied on all three charges. You'll be held here at the detention center pending a bond hearing before a circuit court judge at a later date, and where they'll determine whether bond's appropriate at that time. Do you have any questions? You also have to have no contact with the victim's family in any way going forward.
Okay. The question is, how did the police, because I have not seen the probable cause affidavit. And I'm always, hey, Chris Melcher, I'm always really curious about how they find things out. Not because I want to commit a crime, but how did they figure out that Kendall and Victoria were involved? You know what I think? I think this bitch spilled his guts. That's what I think. I think he got put into the room with no windows. They let him sit there by himself for probably a good 6, 7, 8 hours. And he was crawling out of his own skin till he confessed, but he gave them up. There's no bond for any of them. No one's getting out. There's no cash money. There's no anything. So which one of these girls is going to tell the truth about what happened?
Forward. Okay. If you'll step over there, they'll have you sign some documents that we've gone over. Thank you.
I see where you're coming from, Lisa Wilson. Lisa said, I just watched where the house was searched. I understand it had to be searched, but they don't have to destroy your house and property. Well, they only have so much time. And when you're looking for viable evidence, time is of the essence. So they're not going to bring out the tweezers and the microscope and say, we might have something here. We might have something here. I think maybe the best thing to do is not commit a crime at your house, but that's just my opinion.
Charges?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going back to this chick because they all look like 12 years old to me, but I'm almost 50 and I'm pretty crusty. So they all look young to me.
The first is for accessory after the fact of murder, which carries up to 15 years in jail if you plead guilty or if you're found guilty. Misprision of a felony, and obstructing justice. Both of those, the fine's going to be up to the court to determine at what's appropriate if you're found guilty or if you plead guilty. Okay. The initial court date is.
Look, if she pleads guilty and gets 15 years, she'll be out when she's 35. Okay. I think it's going to be Victoria. I think it's going to be Victoria that tells them the actual truth and that she was coerced. I'm not taking up for her. I'm not saying that she's innocent. But if you look at her face and you look at Kendall's, you see two totally different demeanors. Look, he already confessed to killing Jessica. If someone with a brain between their ears talks to her, attorney, mama, grandma, great aunt, I don't care, and says, listen, you just need to tell them all you know and take a plea, she could honestly be out in like 3 years. And don't think I'm advocating for her. That's just how it works.
It's December 3rd at 9:30, and that's at the Anderson County Courthouse. You are required to appear. If you miss any hearings, they can issue a general sessions warrant. If you're picked up on that, you can be held until a hearing is had. You also have the right to have an attorney present. If you can't afford one, you can request the public defender's office represent you. You also have the right to plead not guilty on your court date and request a jury trial. Within the next 10 days, you have the right to request a preliminary hearing on these charges. That's a hearing before another judge who would hear the state's evidence to determine if it was sufficient to issue these charges. To request that, it has to be done by you, and you'll be given a form to complete when we're done. Do you have any questions about the preliminary hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Stiles, I understand you.
She goes, no, sir. No, sir. Let me tell you what, these chicks need to quit their shit.
For Ms. Barnes' family, as well as the news are present. You've got 3 charges. First is for accessory after the fact of murder, which carries up to 15 years in jail if you plead guilty or if you're found guilty. You have misprision of a felony and obstruction.
See, this one to me looks like the one that has no shits to give. And I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But she's the one that seems to me, this is Kendall. She's the one that has the baby with Brandon. This dude, they're all after. See, that's Kendall right there. She's the one that seems to me that she thinks she's going to wiggle out of this in some way.
Of justice, both of those carry a fine that's going to be determined by the court at a later date at their discretion, if you're found guilty or if you plead guilty. Your initial court date's December 3rd at 9:30 at the Anderson County Courthouse. That's for your initial appearance. If you fail there to appear there, they can issue a general sessions warrant. If you're picked up on that, you can be held until the trial is had. You also have the right to have an attorney present represent you going forward. If you can't afford one, you can request the public defender's office represent you. You have the right to plead not guilty on your court date and request a jury trial. Within the next 10 days, you have the right to request a preliminary hearing on these charges. It's a hearing before a judge who would hear the state's evidence to determine if it was sufficient to issue the charges. To request it, it has to be done by you, and you'll be given that forward when we're done. You have any questions about the preliminary hearing? Okay. Mr. Stiles, I understand you have a statement you want to make on behalf of the family.
We are deeply saddened to share that Jessica is no longer with us. In her 20 years, she lit up every room that she entered. Jessica.
And I feel bad that the family attorney keeps coming in for every one of them, saying that Jessica lit up every room. Everyone loves Jessica. But if you look at her face, there's no fear and there's no remorse. All she's thinking about is this pogo stick, Brandon. That's it. She wanted him more than anything.
Jessica had ambition. She had dreams, and her soul was a constant witness to others through her faith. We are profoundly thankful for the dedication of all of the agencies involved in this case, especially the tireless work of Chief Robert Crosby of the Pendleton Police Department, who devoted himself to finding the answers we have shared today. With heavy hearts, we humbly return Jessica into the hands of Jesus, where we know she is now safe from her abuser. Her spirit is renewed, and she is enveloped in the love she so longed for while she was here with us on this earth. We hope this serves as a message to domestic violence victims everywhere. Please reach out for help. Jessica was strong, but piece by piece, her strength was stripped away. We kindly ask for continued privacy in the coming days as we fully commit ourselves to Jessica's voice. We will seek justice for her as her own voice has now been diminished.
Ms. Mims, this hearing is being recorded and can be used later against you in court. But do you have any statements you want to make or anything else you need me to know before I discuss your bond? Okay. Based on the charges, your bond will be denied on all three charges. You'll be held here at the detention center pending a bond hearing before a circuit court judge at a later date where they'll determine whether bond's appropriate at that time. Do you have any questions? You also have to have no contact with the victim's family in any way going forward. Okay.
And she just nods her head like nothing happened. Paper Slut said, I bet you on some hidden corner of YouTube or Instagram that dude was trying to start a rap career. Yep, I guarantee, just like Danny. It's like, look, we need people in law enforcement, linemen, dock workers. We don't need any more rap people. Gotta be kidding me. Well, you all be the judge. You tell me, do you want to keep following this? Because I have a feeling there's going to be more girls coming out saying they have babies with Mr. Baloney. I cannot believe these girls are going after that little 3-incher. He's 135 pounds soaking wet. But they think because of his little tattoos and trying to act all hard in Pendleton, South Carolina, he's something else. But there's other girls involved. If he was my son, whoo-hoo, you have no idea what happened. Yeah, nobody would be holed up in the pool house. All right, you guys have a great rest of your Friday. I'm so glad we got together for this. I'm going to talk to a few people and see if you all want to do a group about it, because I have a ton of information I have discovered, and I don't really feel safe putting it in other Facebook groups because, well, you know how they can be. There you go. Just me. She goes, we need to dig into it. Rain Girl, I'm going to wait to see if these girls' interrogations are made public. I'll be watching. Yeah, me too. I have a feeling their interrogations were a bunch of shrugging shoulders. I don't know. I don't know. I have a feeling he squealed like a pig because he's that ignorant. He really is. All right, you guys have a great rest of your day. I'm going to go train OJ to not go outside. It's been very rough for us. I bought a baby gate. I put at the back door, thinking that OJ wouldn't get outside because I like fresh air, okay? Well, next thing I know, the black bastard opens up his claws, grabs the baby gate, and pulls it in, walks over it, and looks at me going, what's next? You going to build the Berlin Wall? Yeah. Ilyanka said, a baby gate for a cat. Yeah, I did. I did. I really thought it was going to work. You should have seen him. He was like, I got this, bitch. Yeah. V Slim says, baby gates didn't work for my cat. No, I've been trying. Rain Girl said, the black bastard. Yeah. Getting so sick of this shit. Just Me said, no screen door. We do have a screen door. That's part of the problem. But he uses his claws to get through it. So I did a baby gate. Yeah. And a lot of this is because Greg won't get off his fucking ass and go to behavioral cat therapy so we can train OJ to not do things like that. But I'm going to take a video today and I'm going to show you guys what's going on with the screen door in the baby gate. He respected it for a few seconds, and then next thing you know, the claws came out and he was digging at it, and I said, no to my kitty. I said, no to my kitty. My kitty cannot do that. I said, Mama loves you. Mama loves you. You cannot do that, because that's how I talk to him. And so he kind of rolled around a little bit, came and got a snack. Then he goes back over, claws come out. He throws the thing down and walks right over it and looked at me and goes, congratulations on your $8.99. Yeah. Absolutely crazy. Let me try to call Greg real quick. There's not many people in here. He doesn't like when I call him when I'm on a live, but this needs to be discussed before he gets home. Hang on. I told you he wouldn't answer.
Hello?
Hey, honey, I'm at the end of the show, just shutting it down, and I'm telling everybody about how OJ, you know, I bought that baby gate?
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be for 43 pounds, up to 43 pounds. I got it from Babies R Us for $8.99. And OJ got his claws and just pulled it down.
And you're surprised?
Well, it says up to 43 pounds. OJ's 21 pounds.
Well, he don't care about weight limits. You know that.
Well, I'm getting really tired of his bullshit around here. He's got that snot problem, and he got some boogers on my couch. So he's your problem when you get home.
All right, well, I'll be there in a little bit.
Where are you at right now?
Near Conway, Arkansas.
Okay, but I'm going to show you this paperwork from Babies R Us when you get home, baby. It says up to 43 pounds. Then OJ gets his claws out. He pulls it down and steps on it and looks at me like I've got a dick growing out of my head.
Well, you just need to send it right back to him with a polite note that said, this can't stop a 21-pound cat. You lie. Get your money back.
I already called Babies R Us. They said it's not for cats. It's for children.
Okay.
And I said, but he's my husband's pride and joy, so he is our baby.
Huh.
Chrissy said you should return it, Brooks.
I know. Just return it.
Okay, well, we're going to have to do that tomorrow. But we've got to go to 71st and Memorial, and I hate that traffic over there. All right, you guys, I'm going to fight with my husband up this for a little bit. I love you all very much. Thank you for being here. You are the absolute best, and we're going to continue following this case.